recording. Yeah,
Okay.
it just told me that. Yeah, should be good.
Okay. So, by the way, just you have amazing content, and I'm surprised that you don't have more views in a way on
Right,
YouTube.
thank you.
Yeah, and I think like with time you will improve. It's just statistics. It's basically luck for most of the activists as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. I will get back to making content at some point, but it's quite, you say I don't have many views, but it's quite a punishing platform. And there was a point where I uploaded a video. I was trying to get something made every day, just like a small meme or something, just because people were enjoying it. And I did that for a couple of weeks, and then I didn't upload for about a month because I took a break. And you can see in the metadata that just video, that new one I uploaded, got pushed to hardly anyone. And ever since then, it gets pushed to far fewer people. So if you set a standard and then you don't stick to that standard, YouTube makes it hard for you to get back to it. So
it is the mysterious algorithm, not the audience. You know, just
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they just want full-time workers there, like on YouTube, maybe just not.
I don't know exactly how it works. I think I also shoot myself in the foot by releasing really different content. And so a lot of people probably watch a video of mine, like, I really like this, and then they click the next one and they hate it. And so because they've immediately then left, YouTube's like, this guy, people don't like his content. It's a little bit divisive. So I've thought about having maybe two channels or something for serious and something for when I'm not so serious, but I don't know. We'll think about it.
This is actually very crucial for me too, that I lost lots of time. Like I say, people need to know the truth no matter what, and I will just tell the truth. And like, okay, they can say like, what the truth is subjective or something, but some things are really like objective. You think on them enough, like animals suffer, or such things, like, or many things you can really say, this is quite objective to me, and I just want to share this, and I hope, with the hope that people will appreciate that. And the things that I talk about is really because, like, inherently, I think the direction that we are going is quite wrong. I am quite like against almost everything that we do, in a way. Even like, the science and the technology and the schooling system. Sorry.
That's all right.
Well, okay. So the schooling system, and people already accepted these as unquestionable facts. Almost, they just value them, and they say, these are our values. These are our. They bring us something, and it is very difficult to convince people. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just they were calling from Facebook, not from phone, but okay, let me just silence it because vibration. It's very difficult to basically convince people to share, like, should we divide our activism into different channels, or should we just say, if you don't accept this whole truth, you will not achieve what you want to achieve. Anyway, that's my dilemma, and I just came to the conclusion that this is I'm still not quite sure about this, but at least I said that, if people don't want to listen to the truth, and they just selectively, as how they feel, will choose certain truths over others, that we are not going to achieve anything. We need really critical thinkers who are willing to be against anything that you know, that is like anything that is against our values in a way.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I just not just share about vegan activism or like vegan content, but also anti-technology and you know, all these things just blended together. And this is very difficult to sell to the masses, because if someone is like non-vegan and loves technology, they will definitely hate it, you know, my content. Or someone is vegan and loves technology, like John Sackers, you know him probably from YouTube. John Sackers is a vegan, but he loves technology. So I always like comment under his channel or on Facebook, and saying like, have you watched my documentary and this and that, and he just ignores, or like you know. And even vegans, seeming open-minded vegans, you can you know, push them aside, just further away from your channel, from vegan content. But I think that's necessary, that to like make them realize these things, because I think veganism as it is not enough. It will not be enough, due to, you know, I always say, like, if you love animals, you should also seek to prevent or mitigate at least the 6 mass extinction, right? That basically, because without nature, you will not have the animals. You can't save, okay, you just save the cows, you don't eat them, you don't breed them, but what about the rest of the animals, the life, you know, the bigger picture? So I just always think that these kind of environmental issues, etc., all the things should be involved into the vegan message, because basically for me, everything's about harmony. Like I say, why vegans are against animal abuse, because it doesn't feel right, because we are great apes. If we were lions, we'll be okay with it. So there is something wrong with it, right? There is something wrong with it. There is something out of harmony. And within this harmony, umbrella of harmony, we can join all the movements that is wrong. You know, that what we are trying to protect is basically harmony, in my opinion. But what do you think about that?
So I think about that. So going back to the first thing that you said about how it's more difficult when you kind of attach more to an ideology to sell that to someone. Obviously, that's so completely true. I remember watching a conversation between a vegan and non-vegan, like an outreach conversation on YouTube that was going really well. And then the vegan who was religious mentioned that in somehow, and he's like, oh, and because I'm a man of God, I don't think, you know, there should be slaughterhouses. That's not what he'd want us to be doing. And at that very moment, he lost the person he was talking to, because that person he was talking to had a really bad experience. He was non-religious and had a really bad past experience with religious people. And so he then dismissed everything he'd been agreeing with up to that point just to argue with this person. And I think the problem with when you're tying in the environmentalism with the vegan message to get other vegans on your side with that is that, again, it will be like that conversation where they're agreeing with you on so many points, but you can have vegans who, you know, who only care about like rights violations. And so by all definitions of veganism, they live as vegan, they are vegan in how they live their life, but what they care about might be wildly different to another vegan. And so, yeah, it's going to be hard to get them on board with it, because they're at just such an opposite point of view from you. Even though your goals might align, they haven't got that shared ideology. And so convincing people of that. That's literally what we always constantly try to do, right? Trying to convince non-vegans of our ideology. And the best way that we do that, at least in my experience, is getting them to see how the similarities between what we already agree. So rather than telling them, oh, you know, you have to agree with me on this and it's logical, and laying out the arguments why, meeting them halfway, and being like, oh, but you know, how do you feel about this? That's similar to how I feel about this. Maybe there's more similarities between us than we think. And then hoping that you know, within time, because you've opened that door, they'll then eventually agree with you. But getting people to do it just outright, it must be a psychology thing. It's so difficult. People have to kind of feel like they've come to the conclusion themselves, rather than want to admit that, oh yeah, you know, you've opened my eyes to a new way of seeing it, and I think this does actually align with my beliefs. They need to be like, these are my beliefs that I've come up with myself, and that's why I feel validated in them, kind of thing. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
So if you were trying to convince someone who was adamantly pro technology, and you were struggling in argumentation because it wasn't just for selfish reasons, they strongly believed that, you know, without tech, there could be no veganism. People would just, rights violations is human nature, and it's the only way to spread the message is through technology. What would be the little hooks that you try to open the door with? What would be the little areas of agreement that you would try to find, rather than try to convince them all out that they need to change their mind? What are the little seeds that you plant, if you like?
So yes, like being against,
and I'm sure you could, I'm sure the answers would be in your documentary, and so now I feel really terrible for not having watched all of it. But it gives you an extra chance to explain it here. So
okay, thank you very much. But like, I think, okay, so there's so many, these topics are very complex, and we don't have enough like statistical data to say people behave like this under these circumstances, and then we can decide by like, this is the perfect optimal path to take. So, you know, I'm not saying that we have this path, but my mind works always at extremes. Like people say that I'm like pessimistic, but I'm actually optimistic, because I approach with, I say, in the best case, if the best case fails, then we can definitely say that the worst case will definitely fail, right? So I like, my mind works in simplifying the situation by going to extremes and saying, okay, we can just exclude this because the best case already failed, right? So many people in the comments on my documentary, 4 or 5 times, 6 times, as far as I can recall, that they just said, you are using technology, maybe more than that, they said, you are using technology to promote your anti-technology message. What's up with that? You know, just you're a hypocrite. And I tell them like, well, imagine a situation that there is a someone come like a robber or like a killer, like murderer, and with a gun, and point the gun to you, to your family, and you have a gun, right? And you shoot the guy, you use the gun to get rid of the other gun, and you say, okay, and someone comes and says, oh, you should be thankful for the guns, right? Because this can go to the, you know, gun argument, you know, in USA, that they love it. Of course, some people really love their guns there, because I think they're feeling really insecure. I think that's deep down, that's the reason. But so distrust, there is like really huge distrust there, and they're right, because they are leading this corrupt industrial civilization, and that sees everything as like resources to be exploited, and they just say, you know, I need to protect myself. They don't trust the system, and they're quite right about that.
Sure.
Oh, it says that the meeting will end in 10 minutes because this is not Zoom Pro. This is something new. This didn't happen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware that that was going to happen. But
we can
probably just start another one, and
yeah, we can have the part 2. That's good. So okay, let me just not forget. Okay, so I say, okay, would you prefer that no guns existed, so the robber, the murderer, couldn't come even with the guns to kill you in the first place? That you just had to kill a guy. Maybe he was hungry or she was hungry. It just came to maybe what was the purpose of the robbery, and you know, and it is perfectly okay to say, to wish that there was no guns, so nobody was killed in this situation. If there were no guns, this situation wouldn't be existed at all in the first place. Right? So that's my argument for that. Just saying like, just because you use something against the same thing, it doesn't justify the existence of that thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see the analogy. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being picky, but in that given scenario, I still feel like you would be justified in calling hypocrisy on the anti-gun person with the gun.
Oh, okay.
Because yes, obviously the end result for them has been positive, but I don't think that justifies their actions somewhat, if you know what I mean. And this isn't an anti-gun stance. It could literally be anything. It could be you know, they chuck peanuts at people and he happened to be allergic or whatever. It could be, okay. I'm not like tying in my politics about guns to my position on this, is what I'm saying. So
that's also like something novel, because peanuts, if you're allergic to peanuts, you're not exposed. So like when I say about like technology, it's anything that is novel. You know, so like peanut allergy, I think people were not exposed to peanuts. Guns didn't exist in a way, like the way that they are. So you can easily say peanut is like a gun for some people, like because it's so novel.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just technology.
Although I think it would be fair to call the person who defended themselves with the gun a hypocrite, although I think it's not the best analogy, I don't think it attacks your position, because I just don't think they're necessarily super comparable. The reason being that in the position of the person with the gun, they had more other options, or you would assume they would have more other options of not purchasing the firearm to begin with. Whereas in your position, I feel like you don't have any other viable options, if you see what I mean, because to deal with your threat, there's not going to be a way to talk to people to tell them they ought have this position about technology without utilizing it.
If I go outside and start shouting, they'll think I'm crazy and they'll lock me up or something, like, you know, just active, like local activism, like the Unabomber, you know, like the guy who just Ted Kaczynski, he just thought that, I think he's kind of right that he now they will say, oh, you just justify murder or something, but the guy thought that it is best to terrorize a dozen people or so, to gather some the focus of the mass media and to share the message. And I think this is like, if I just go out and just try to do such kind of thing, I don't think that I would reach to a mass audience that big enough or something. And people, because the people who are receptive to such extreme messages, let's say, like so the in the opposite direction of the culture, basically, where this whole culture is going. They will not be like, there will not be many people open to that message at all. They will ridicule you, they will say you are crazy, because they will not be able to understand your arguments, you know. And like, even vegans, that is so obvious, the message is so obvious with the videos and sounds and all this media that just recorded proof. Still, many people just don't support vegans. Like 1%, 2% of the world is vegan or something like that. It is still very difficult. And imagine saying them like these things about anti-technology, like everything they believe, basically. This is their lives. And so, yeah, it is.
Did you go vegan first and then you've got your anti-technology? It was that way around for you. You weren't sort of anti-technology for maybe humanitarian reasons, and then veganism grew from that. It was veganism which grew into anti-tech.
Definitely, first I became vegan, but they were very close in a way that in 2018, Dominion documentary, and I found the chance to watch it, and I had a friend in Switzerland, and she was just recommending like she was an animal rights activist, very dedicated, very compassionate. She was saying, you should watch this, you should watch it. And I was saying, but all my life I have eaten animal products, you know, it's very, I like the taste, all these excuses, like I like the taste was my excuse. And I said, one day I said, I need to watch this, because like I claimed I love animals, and I felt like stupid, you know, defending the, you know, basically there was meat, someone was murdered. I made the connection and then went vegan. But it started around the same time almost. Like 6 months delay. Like, but first I think was vegan, and then almost, you know, these things are like not clear. Like you just don't that date, or you don't become anti-technology that day. You just accumulate some information, and as you learn more and more, you gradually change. And I think
so Dominion was a big moment for you getting into veganism, but there was not that big moment for the anti-tech. It was more gradual. Is what you're saying. It wasn't like a one thing that kind of propelled you that way.
Yeah, actually, if like when I was having my PhD, I was working on complex systems, and that's when I realized this thing that like unintended consequences, and like we can't find a solution to every problem because of the complexity. And when I realized this, basically, if like, I think if I didn't have my PhD on such a subject, maybe I wouldn't realize these facts, and I wouldn't be anti-technology. You know, this is like, and another unintended consequence of me picking that topic for my PhD and selecting, you know, having PhD, deciding to have PhD, that led to unintended consequence of me being anti-technology. You see how complex, like, and so basically, I just said this doesn't have probably, like, this is so complex that we can't solve this thing on time. And that led me to search on Google about these topics. I learned more and more. I was already following deep green resistance. What was the name of the guy? Derek Jensen. So just I was already following him because I love nature, and just, you know, I was against 6 months extinction as an environmentalist. But I wasn't fully anti-technology. I felt that something is wrong. I mean, 10 minutes is not up. Yeah, like, it's that we have it will warn us, right? This.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess so. I don't know what's happened to my oh yeah, it's fine. It says less than 1 minute. Tell you what, maybe to be on the safe side then, we close this quick, and I'll just send you a link on Messenger to a new one. Hopefully that will allow us some more time.
Okay, perfect.